So welcome back, everybody, to the fourth episode of the Readiness Report Live with me, Aaron Sigerman, and
Eric Hart,
president of Redcon One, Silky Tuba.
Silky Tuba. I just refer to myself as Silky Tuba.
Silky Tuba.
I don't know if I know my own name anymore.
It's been a busy week here at Redcon One, and it's been a very busy day.
Yeah.
So it's like one thing to another thing, and I've actually been out of town for 2 days. So Silky Tuba has been holding down the fort and dealing with all the craziness that is Redcon One. Why I went on my anniversry trip for a few days. So.
Which you have to do. You have to disconnect. You have to. Otherwise, why do all this if you can't enjoy your time with your wife?
And am I really disconnected? Like I haven't done.
So why don't you tell them why you're disconnected?
Yeah. So I'm packing my clothes as I usually do moments before I need to leave. Right. I'm packing my clothes and get everything ready. And my phone, I look at my phone. And I was charging it to make sure I had all the batteries I needed for the plane trip and to get going. We actually took a seaplane, my first seaplane trip ever to this island right off the coast of Key West. And I looked at my phone and it was doing the app, showing a little apple. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's rebooting. And then it rebooted and then it did the apple again and then rebooted, did the apple again. And I'm like, uh-oh. And I called Ryan here, chief marketing officer, and I guess what do we call Lord of the Dorks.
Yep.
I said, Ryan, what the hell's going on with my phone? And he couldn't help me, although he thought he could. We tried everything he suggested, didn't work. And by the time we took off, I was like, okay, well, that's it.
Tell them why your phone acted up.
Well, we don't know. What? Because
it got wet?
Well, my phone's meant, it's the new Apple iPhone 11 is meant to be able to go in the water.
Yeah, but your secondary battery case is not.
Yes. Well, I don't know. The whole damn phone broke. The whole damn phone broke. Regardless of whose fault it is, Eric, my phone broke. And when I got on the plane, I was like, damn it. And I actually
I didn't hear from you earlier.
No, I know. Weird, right? I actually had a real book. So I stopped reading. I'm a huge reader, but I stopped reading real books and I only read books on my phone now. I have thousands of books on my phone, hundreds of thousands at least. And but I did have one book from Jack Carr, who was just on the show.
The newest one?
The newest one, Savage Son, who I'm about halfway through. I've been reading so many books simultaneously. And I'm reading a few really cool ones. But this one, I've been trying to push through it. And I got through about half of it before his interview. But he sent me a physical copy, like a pre-reader book. It was a super cool book. And I'm like, well, at least I have a book. And so on the airplane ride. Yeah, thank God. Well, I knew my phone was screwed. So I was like, okay, I'm fucked. I need a book.
Here, though, not at the
I know. I brought it home and I took the book on the plane and I read on the plane. And the funny thing is, my phone wasn't working the whole time. I had Eduardo find a solution, Eduardo and Ryan, and they brought me an iPhone 7
from Radio
to
Shack.
the island from Radio Shack to help me. And
I didn't know there was Radio Shacks left.
Now me either, actually. And so from Key West Radio Shack, they delivered me a phone to the island on a boat, and then the phone didn't actually work.
No, because I talked to you and it was like underwater.
Yeah, my SIM card wouldn't work. It was a disaster, and but it was great also because it allowed me for the first time in many, many years to disconnect, and it also allowed me to realize how much my wife uses her phone. I'm like, would you stop with the phone? She's like, that's how I always feel. I'm like, well, maybe it's you using the phone just as much as me, and then you stop and look at me. Who knows?
Probably a little both, because I know that'll happen with Aaron, like my EB. I'll look over and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, but again, I'm always on the phone. I'm answering.
You can't say much, but if your phone doesn't work, man, you sure do notice it a lot more. We're sitting at dinner. I'm like this, and she's looking at her phone like, excuse me, I'm right here. And I experienced it the other direction, but I did get a break. I did take a break. And so we're here for the show. And our fourth episode, we've had Jack Carr, which I just mentioned, best-selling author. We've had Jordan Zimmerman, self-made billionaire. We've had Jason Huh, owner of Steel Supplements, a friend of mine, former professional bodybuilder, very interesting personality in the world of bodybuilding and fitness.
Yeah, I mean, so the three completely different perspectives on life, and all people who are successful in their own realm.
Yeah.
And, what's interesting too with the panel tonight is now you got three people who maybe don't have a lot in common.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Different people.
Completely different backgrounds, completely different, all connected to us somehow, but that's about the only commonality.
Yeah. And so when we started the show, we wanted to make the show, obviously, it is a Redcon One show, but it's not about Redcon One. We don't really talk a lot about the products. We talk about the world in general. We talk about our guests, and we hope to provide value to you guys who are watching, the listeners, if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, and the people who are watching on YouTube and Facebook, et cetera, right? That's the whole point of the show. Hopefully you come away realizing that Redcon One and that we are much more than a supplement brand. And more importantly, hopefully you get value from it. So we've shown very different people, but tonight we're doing something for a very first time and having a panel discussion.
Which should be pretty interesting.
So we told the panelists beforehand that we won't be censoring it. It's say whatever you want to say. And the topics are very wide ranging. So looking forward to that after the commercial break. So let me remind everybody, question and answers. So we would love for you to write in your Q&As. You have questions, we have answers. Even if we don't get to them right away, if you insert them now, we'll do our best to make sure to answer them, especially the good ones, by the end of the show or at some point during the show.
So question on that if there's maybe some really good question, we just flat out run out of time. Is there a way for someone to submit a question for us to either answer in the future or get back to them on it outside of here?
You know, the readinessreportlive.com. We keep a form on there all week.
So if you go to readinessreportlive.com, you'll see Ryan was just saying on there, there's a place for you to submit a question and we can do an answer for sure. That way you can go there, make sure your question is answered in the future episode. We may even do an extra show for a week where we go back in time and answer questions that you guys have asked in the distant past or recent past to make sure everybody gets a chance to answer.
Future themed episode?
Back to the future. Sure, absolutely.
We're spacesuits.
So let's go to our first news.
All right.
Story. So bodybuilding, in the world of fitness and bodybuilding, where we come from, has been just like everywhere else in the world and every other live event has been put on hold. From basketball to hockey, we have a hockey suite for the BB&T Center that we pay for that is not had an event.
No breaks on that one.
Yeah, no, we got no breaks. This has not had an event or a concert in forever. But for bodybuilding and fitness, they have hundreds, thousands of shows each year that these promoters and the NPC and the IFBB, they count on this revenue. These guys are not making a ton of money. It's not like the hockey teams with NFL or the NHL.
No corporate sponsorship, no advertising dollars really.
And truthfully, while it is owned by Jim Mannion and they have a great empire, a lot of the promoters are living and dying based on each one of these shows. And a lot of them have died and don't know what to do. But the good news is the first bodybuilding show in many months has been held in Oklahoma. And you're seeing some of it right now. The show was held. It was a success. Everybody's very excited to be there. And more shows are coming in the future. You see some of these bikini girls right here who won their categories. No masks also, which is interesting.
And they're very close together.
We'll talk about that in the future. So the question really is, what states are going to be open for bodybuilding? When is the industry going to open all the way back up? What is the new normal in bodybuilding shows? And hopefully we won't be seeing competitors on stage in masks. That would be kind of like ridiculous, but
got more up top on your face than you do your junk.
Yeah. Well, you may have seen new winners if you can't see the face, right? If you can't see the face, I mean, you never know.
Posing trunks in my face.
I talked to Steve Weinberger a few days ago. He called and we spoke for a little while about gyms, his gym business and my gym business, our gym business, and he said that his shows he plans to go on, everything's just moved further to the right. So a lot of the big shows and the shows to actually qualify to become have a shot at the Olympia are going to occur a little later on.
And that's what's difficult for competitors, right? You'd have the show schedule. You can map out your training, your dieting. Where now all of a sudden, there's quite a few people at the gym. There's a guy, Daryl, that was always training when Zach and I are training in the mornings, and he had a show that was supposed to be in June.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, show got moved out to like the back half of the year. So now you got to so all these guys that were training for the Olympia.
Yeah.
So it's like you started prep, then you got to stop, go back into it. So
that's tough.
It's just tough there, tough financially on each, like you say, each promoter.
Right.
And it'd be interesting too, like what Steve did for Blessing for the judging.
Mm-hmm.
Could that be the future of shows?
Yeah, I've talked to him about that. That would be very interesting. That would be something I would love to put on a virtual pro bodybuilding show that qualifies for Olympia. And we're seeing some kind of resurgence now. We're going to talk about later in cases for COVID. So maybe that's something that could be in the future. But next on our list is CrossFit and Reebok. So this is a crazy story and pretty unfortunate. So comments made by the CrossFit CEO, and it's something that we want to talk about a little bit later on. Do I have a pen, guys? Give me a pen. So thanks, Johnny. Thanks, Johnny. A subject that I actually want to address with our panel in a little while is this subject of, should politics come into play when you talk about business? Do you avoid the politics or even anything that's could be triggering to anybody if you're a business owner? So Colin is a business, actually every one of these guys. So Sean Rosario is a business owner, and Carl Lenore is a small business owner. And so of course is Colin Wayne. So it is a question, when should you allow politics into the public discourse, or should you never? Because obviously it can be very divisive. So now this quote here, which Mr. Glassman, Greg Glassman made, may have pushed into like totally inappropriate range. So the founder of the US brand CrossFit will step down from his position as CEO following a disastrous few days that have seen the fitness program lose key partnerships. So Reebok, I didn't even know this, had $150 million a year deal with them to sponsor them. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they've decided to pull out of their deal. The move came after a pair of offensive tweets by Greg Glassman on Saturday in response to a tweet from Research Center Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluation, which stated racism is a public health issue. Glassman tweeted, "It's a Floyd 19," in reference to the police killing of George Floyd, whose death was sparked in a global protest movement. I don't know what possessed him to say that.
I don't either.
It was like, I don't know, like some of these guys and girls out there have made tweets that could be really on the edge but they all make sense to some degree, at least in their point of view. I don't know why he would post that, because that doesn't make any sense to me, and can't even be like, how do you justify like why stir the pot if you're the CEO of a big company,
especially of a company whose platform was always all inclusive, right?
Yeah,
that was the thing about CrossFit, is like the typical gym like we own. Some people might feel, oh, it's only for meatheads, it's only for certain types of people. Where CrossFit was very, it was all encompassing. It was just like, I don't want to use this term, it's probably a bad thing to say, but it was like come one, come all, where, it didn't matter background, whatever, even if you weren't fit yet, they were going to get you there. So race, religion, ethnicity didn't matter.
Yeah.
And, you look at the CrossFit Games, it's a very diverse group of people. And then for the person who runs it and founded it,
just no point. What's the upside?
No,
there's no upside.
Because we talked about that, right? Of like, we all have our own views and, our opinions on things. And when you own a business, you do have to stand for something, right? Because everybody has to stand for something. But then also too, it's like you have to be cautious with your words, especially with that, where you have all these people who are probably beyond evangelists for the brands. They're full on fanatical about CrossFit. And then someone, makes this type of statement, like, I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah, me either. And, for those guys over there, I mean, they remind me a lot of bodybuilding. The thing that I like the most, one of the things I like the most about the bodybuilding industry, and there's things that are definitely bad about the bodybuilding and fitness industry. One of the things I loved, and I've always loved, is bodybuilding doesn't care about your race. It doesn't care about your gender. It doesn't care about your religion. It makes no difference and makes no differentiation between one person or another. Whoever has the best physique in the judge's eyes wins.
I think there's actually been more titles held by African American.
I'm pretty sure that's the case.
The total number of Olympians.
And nobody has ever said, "Oh, Ronnie Coleman has won 8 years. Time for a white guy to win." This never came out. Nobody says that. It's whoever is the best, and that's a very big, important thing, because that's how we run the business here at Redcon One. We never think about getting fitting gender roles or racial role. We just do who's ever the best.
No, sure.
And that's the way it should be. And honestly, I've never even thought any other way. So I think that's the way it should be. I love that about bodybuilding. I know Ben Weider and Joe Weider, who started the fathers of bodybuilding, were very proud of that. Very, very proud of that. So
yeah, especially you got to think of the time that bodybuilding got popular. With Arnold, I mean, it was always between someone who was Cuban and, actually it was two non-American people between Sergio Oliva Sr. and Arnold.
And, obviously we know Rob Wilkins is a close friend of us and a friend of the brand, friend of the show. And he traveled the world with Ben Weider. Ben Weider was a Jewish guy from Canada who was had a lot of persecution. His family did, being a Jewish guy. And he went all over the world, to Arab countries, to hostile countries that didn't want him there, to spread the good word of bodybuilding. And so that's kind of how I view things. So let's move on to something much more positive. Every so often we introduce a new athlete for Redcon One. When we pick an athlete for Redcon One, it's a very difficult decision. We don't just pick somebody because they have a big following. We don't just pick somebody because they've done something awesome and unique. We pick somebody because they've done both and they have a story that fits with the brand. From the very beginning of Redcon One, we've had a very specific brand filter, and we never take anybody that doesn't fit the brand filter. And so it's a hard decision to pick a new athlete.
It is, because, a lot of times people may wonder, like, why that person?
Yes.
Or why didn't you pick up this person? But in our eyes, they didn't fit the brand, just like an employee. Someone has to fit through that filter, a new product, whatever it is. Yeah, so that's more of an internal decision. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, you should sign this guy. I'm like, nope, just doesn't fit the brand.
And sometimes, sometimes the personality is such a big factor where even if they do accomplish all these things or do such great stuff or have a huge following, if their personality doesn't, like, for example, if you take yourself too seriously, you think you're the man and you need to be treated a certain way, you probably won't fit with our brand. We joke around and we use humor as part of the way that we build authenticity and build following in the brand. So
yeah, and one of the like company values that's on all of our lanyards, our badges is it came from Apple, was we all take out the trash. And it's true. Like, if something needs to be done, you just pick it up. It's not about titles. It's not about position. It's just get the job done. And to your point, yeah, there's some people that we know we'd have to, handle with kid gloves. That's just not who we are.
You want to introduce them? The next big athlete for Redcon 1?
Do we do a commercial break first?
No, I think after, right? Yeah, after.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure, Johnny, I don't want Johnny to yell at me. So.
Oh, he's already on the screen.
Oh, there we go.
What's up, everybody?
So in case you don't know who this is, two-time world's strongest man, Martin.
One-time world's strongest
I thought it was two.
No, Arnold.
I'm going for it. I'm definitely gonna gun for multiple-time world's strongest man.
I'm just putting it into the universe for you already.
Oh, yes, I like that.
And
it's happening.
And Martins, you know what we were just mentioning about you is that you not only are a great athlete and have built a great following, but you've also, developed a character. You don't take yourself too seriously. You have fun at what you do, and we're all about having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the sport. I've always, it's just felt good to me. I love just joking around and enjoying myself. That's really what it's come down to, and also just pushing my body to discover what's possible in strength.
Yeah. So for you, did you always know you wanted to be a strongman, or is this something that came later in life?
Yeah. So as a kid, I would visit my grandparents' farm in Latvia, and my grandfather there was a stone sculptor. So he had me doing all this farm work, and I would be helping move around these stones, and he showed me how to lift these rocks. And then I saw on TV these guys basically competing in heavy farm work. And I thought, you know what? I could do that. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, ever since I was 9 years old, I've made it my mission to become the world's strongest man.
That's pretty awesome.
So who was it that you saw on the World's Strongest Man?
That's a good question. No one's ever asked me that. Two people that really stuck out to me that inspired me. Marusz Budzianowski was a legend in the sport. It's probably one of the first strongmen that I saw, and I was like, holy crud, I want to be like that guy. Another one was Odd Haugen, who actually eventually became my coach. Is currently my coach. And, but I saw him on TV, and he was in his mid-50s, still competing in the top 10 in the world. So I thought, oh my gosh, this guy has longevity. He's a brute. I want to be just like that as well, like to be strong for the long run, not just to be the strong and then be over with it. I really want to be strong as long as possible in life. And I think Odd inspired me and made me realize it's possible.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So one of the things about you, we've seen some, obviously we had Brian on the team for a long time. These guys Brian is humongous, he's 450 pounds. And while you're way, way, way bigger than me, you're not Brian Shaw in terms of size, but somehow, and that's okay. Because we win in
a tiny one out there, you guys. These guys are monsters.
So that's what I'm at. That's my curious thing. So how much does the size play a role? Obviously not that much if you're able to beat these guys who outweigh you by 70 pounds or something.
I mean, yeah, you look at Rauno Heinla, a strongman from Estonia, or Rob Kearney, world's strongest gay from the East Coast in the USA. These guys are in the high 200s, like 275 to 290 pounds in there. And also Novikov as well, 290 pounds. They're competing at the top level as well, and even beating Thor and Shaw in certain events. So size is, of course, important. The way I like to explain it is a bigger muscle has more potential to be stronger, but it does not mean it's a bigger muscle stronger. The mind-body connection is incredibly important. How fast your signals travel from your mind to your muscles, how efficiently your body moves, and how well you've mastered your own body's leverages all play a big factor into your total output of strength.
I notice in watching your stories and stuff, a lot of you do something I haven't seen that much is flexibility training. You're a very flexible guy for your size.
Very much so, because I don't think statically I am the strongest, but I'm able to put myself in good positions, and I'm comfortable in those positions, which allows me greater work output.
That's really cool.
So is that why you do pistols and skinny jeans?
You bet.
No, I like honestly. I watched that video the other day, and it's like more flexible than you or I.
Oh, way more flexible
Yeah,
than me. There's no question.
Yeah, it's impressive just because again, a lot of times someone sees a bigger person, thinks, okay, they're just going to be strong. But yeah, to add that flexibility and athleticism to it, I'm sure it helps with winning as well.
Hugely, and people really miss this aspect because let's say you're doing an overhead press. You have tight lats and tight pecs. If your lats are tight, that you're basically going to have to press against your own strength and own tension. So if your antagonists are tight, it's going to make that movement much tougher.
Makes sense. So before we let you go, first off, we have to have you back for a full interview in the future. You know, you have a lot of things to contribute, a lot of things to say, but I wanted to ask you, I know you're in Santa Monica, or you're in Southern California somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'm just recently moved to Santa Monica. I'm loving it. Before this, I was in the Ventura Valley, much closer to the training hall, but now we're looking to open up a new gym out here in Santa Monica as well. Bring strongman to the coast. That's
what you had mentioned. So, and that would be the first strongman gym in Southern California, right? The first big one.
Well, there's the training hall, which is a strongman gym, and also East Coast, West Coast. So there are a couple of strongman gyms, but I want to bring it back to Muscle Beach. That's my goal.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I know Arnold is a huge fan of strongman. You know, getting to talk to him, that seems like he's almost a bigger fan of strongman than he is bodybuilding these days.
Yeah, and I've had multiple discussions with him. He's really fallen in love with the sport. He wants to support the sport and see it grow. And I'm really hoping to work alongside with him to help him with his, putting on competitions in the area. We'll see where that goes. But he's been very supportive of us.
Well, Martins, you have something here?
No.
Martins, thank you so much for coming on with us. We will absolutely have you back in the very near future for a full interview. I have a lot of questions. I know Eric has a lot of questions for you, and I'm sure the listeners and viewers have a lot of questions. So thank you very much for coming on, introducing yourself, and being part of Team Redcon 1. We couldn't be any more proud and pleased to have you on board, man.
Thank you for having me, guys. Martins!
So let's go to commercial break, and we'll be right back with the panel. We're starting this weekend off with a bang. 40% off everything this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The entire website is 40% off. Shot supply won't last long, so shop your favorite supplements from MRE, Total War, Big Noise, and more. It's also your last chance to grab some fresh apparel and swag from our last collection. No code required. You better hurry. Shop and save at redcon1.com.
First and foremost, I want to thank Lieutenant Michael Murphy for the millions of people that he continues to inspire today. And the only thing that we wish is that you were here sweating with us today. Thanks for your sacrifice, brother.
1, 2, 3, fire!
My name is Ben Galloway.
And I'm Matt Saracino.
We are the Tier Operator Management Team, and we invite you to join the Redcon 1 family.
I joined the Tier Operator program because I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself.
Being a tier operator is phenomenal. You want to keep tiering up. You want to work for, yes, the best company in the fitness industry.
Redcon 1 helped me reach my goal, which at the time I didn't even know was a goal.
The products work. Like that's what it is. And I want to help other people reach their fitness goals using these products.
I love that it's like a big family. I really enjoy that we can get together at events like this. And it's like, even though we're thousands of miles apart, it's just like we all know each other like we're neighbors. We're not just out here trying to make sales. We're out here trying to change lives.
Apply to be a tier operator today.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Just a quick announcement. The Murph, you just saw the commercial at the end there. The Murph is coming to the Redcon One gym. We are the host of the 15th annual Murph Challenge, which is in basically, so Operation Red Wing. This was 15 years ago that this happened, this tragedy in Special Forces history happened, and we're going to be celebrating it with the Murph and Michael Murphy's family, a lot of cool people. Sam and Mikey. There's a lot of Navy SEALs. We have about 50 Navy SEALs who are coming in town, some A-list celebrities, and they're all going to be at the Redcon One gym, which is pretty surreal, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a huge event. I mean, it's great to be able to honor Michael Murphy in doing this.
And all the other guys that died.
Yeah, so to bring everybody together. I mean, that's the great thing about it, right? Is to bring it together, raise money for charity for it, and then, just get to kind of extend our family at that time period as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a tremendously big event. I had no idea. So when Mikey, who was a Navy SEAL with Michael Murphy, and Sam, his wife, reached out and said, "Hey, we'd love to have it with you guys because the gym we were going to do it with in Hollywood is closed indefinitely." I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, great, let's do it." But I didn't realize the depth of how big a deal it was. Last year, they had Chris Pratt and a bunch of other celebrities, along with a long list of other people that they prefer us not to mention in terms of getting two people too hyped up for the whole event. Because there's a private event which we're doing in the beginning, and then it'll open up to the public. Any of the celebrities and stars and SEALs that want to stay and talk. A lot of the SEALs are going to want to. I know Adam, our WWE champion, Adam Scher, he's going to be there, along with a bunch of our people, Blessing, and a lot of our athletes that are going to be there. But there's some really big celebrities that will be there, and our friend Tyler Merritt, who owns 9 Line Apparel, will be there, and a lot of other people. And it's going to be a really, really cool event. I had no idea how big a deal it's going to be. So I'm flattered and thrilled to have it.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably going to end up being bigger than we even can imagine it right now.
Yeah, it's overwhelmingly big. Yeah. So if you'd like to come be part of the Murph, the open Murph for everybody else will begin at noon, I believe.
I think that's what it is.
Noon at the Redcon One gym. It'll be closed before that, but it'll be open at noon. You'll get to meet a lot of people, do the Murph, and contribute to a great cause. So it's going to be super cool. I can't wait for it. But without further ado, we have our first panel show. So today we have 3 great guests, very different, although they do have some similarities. So number 1 is Colin Wayne, the founder and CEO of Redline SEAL. Colin is a high school dropout, a military combat veteran, not like me, and has built a multi-million-dollar industrial manufacturing business in the last 4 years, sort of like me, right? And we've become friends over the last a little longer than 4 years, maybe what, Colin, like 7, 8 years, something like that?
Yeah, almost a decade, man. And like when you started Redcon, I started Redline that same year.
Very, very Redline all at the same time, right? It's crazy.
Right. Unplanned, very close, but yeah,
it's crazy.
Very extensive growth on both.
Yes, and we both had those same huge leaps of growth, and we've stayed in touch along the way. Colin is a lot like me in the fact that he loves digital marketing. He loves building demand. He's a student of the game, and it's not just about his business. He's in general. So even if it doesn't help necessarily his business, he still loves to learn and loves to take that, figure out how to apply that to his business and help other entrepreneurs to build their business, which is very similar. So we always have a lot of stuff to talk about, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show, buddy.
Dude, it's an honor, man. I know coming down, seeing Redcon, y'all's new facility, absolutely amazing. Walking around and just kind of seeing where you've transformed over the years. When you started Redcon, we've been connecting way before you even had the company, and to see the evolution and then to walk with, Eric around the shop, and he was telling me about your plan and the product and like what's to come. Like I can see it. I can see the vision that you're painting, and I know it's going to be so much bigger than what you can even convey at this point. So it's so cool to like see the transformation that's taken place over the past couple of years, and especially like behind the scenes, because we've communicated so many times, whether that's with my business and the growth pains and challenges. I know with you working out of like 9 different facilities and manufacturing, and distribution centers, growth now that you're finally into one hub and you can have that mass distribution play has been incredible. And, there's a lot of differences with what you do and what we do at Redline Steel, but it's so cool that there's commonalities that also inlay with that. And that also goes to just show entrepreneurship in general. even if it's towards different demographics, towards different genres in general, there's so many commonalities that go along with it. So it's neat.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure keeping up with you, Colin, and being friends and having a friend that's rooting for the success of Redcon One and me, because as you know, as you get more and more successful, it often alienates you to old friends, which it's nice to have an old friend who is still rooting for me, and same for you, obviously. I know you know that.
Day one, bro. And like, honest to God, like, dude, Redcon. So I'm not sponsored by Redcon. I'm not endorsed. They don't pay me to say shit. Like, this is like, me and Aaron go back. And more than that, like, it's a product that I swear to God take every single day. I'm fortunate enough to have a gym at my warehouse. And it's just became like friends helping friends at the end of the day. And I think there's a takeaway, guys, for everybody that's watching right now. Like, the takeaway is value first. And when you provide value without the expectation of something in return, there's so much more that can come from that, and just operating from a place of integrity in general.
Yes, I agree, Colin. So without further ado, I want to introduce my close friend, Sean Rosario. Sean is a 14-year Navy SEAL veteran, a member of SEAL Team 6, and now Sean leads quite a few successful businesses himself in the HRT space, hormone replacement therapy. And one close to our heart here at Redcon One, we've donated $60,000 so far, meaning there'll be more, Sean, to the Warrior Health Foundation. You see Sean wearing the shirt right here. And Sean has been focusing on giving back. So he talked just a moment ago, Colin, about what does it mean to give back and how important it is. Sean gives back to his community on a daily basis by providing hormone replacement therapy and balancing vitamins, minerals, and hormones for his community of Tier 1 operators and Special Forces guys. And so at NOAA, it's a nonprofit organization where he takes. Actually, Sean, you tell him.
Yeah, you tell him.
I do always do the sales pitch. Let's hear what you
were doing such a great job.
I usually do pretty damn good, honestly, but.
No, listen. First and foremost, it's an honor and it's humbling to be, in the presence of you guys. Everyone on this panel in some way, shape, or form. Even though I haven't met them, I've seen the interaction between you guys, and it's very impressive. It's just motivating. So Warrior Health Foundation. We're 2 years old now, going on our third year. We're growing in headcount, but the objective was to help my community, the Special Operations Forces community, whether it be Army, Special Forces, Rangers, SEALs, Pararescue, Marine Raider, Recon, to understand first and foremost that there is an issue. The issue centers around the endocrine function of the body after repeated concussive blast waves, repeated combat deployments overseas, Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever country you want to throw at it. But at the end of the day, they have severe damage to their pituitary, which causes a growth hormone deficiency, which knocks out the hormonal balance, which causes things like irritability, decreased cognitive function, sleep cycle interruption. All these things lead to opioid dependency, alcohol dependency, and at the end of the day, we want to prevent veteran suicide. But being able to focus on our community, our special operations community, gives me a big. It's really gratifying to be able to give back to the community that was so good to me, the community that I grew up in during my time in the military, and taught me all the lessons, the leadership lessons that I use today in business. Besides, conversing and looking for great ideas from you guys.
So Sean won't toot his own horn too much, but he has multiple awards for bronze stars for combat valor. He's done many. How many tours of combat duty did you do, Sean?
So I did 4 combat deployments: Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, and it's very eye-opening to be able to go to these countries and sometimes see the worst in man, and then again see the best in man. When I say the best in man, I'm talking about the brothers to my left and my right, who at any time would do anything for me, and I would do the same for them.
And Sean also was there in a time of one of the highest combat tempos, operational tempos during the war. So Sean saw lots and lots of action and saw lots and lots of bad guys, well, dead bad guys, and good guys along the way. Next on our list is my very, very, very close friend, Carl Lenore. So without Carl Lenore, there would be no Aaron Singerman. We wouldn't be talking right here today. And I would be, who knows what I'd be if it wasn't for Carl. So Carl and I became friends. Carl, when did we become friends?
2008.
2008. So in 2008,
I had just moved back from Phoenix, and I was living back in Louisville when you reached out to me from the show.
Yes. So Carl has a show and still has a show called Superhuman Radio, which is the #1 show in the world for health and fitness, the longest lasting and #1. If you want to find out about how to, live a better, longer life, if you want to find out about performance enhancement, you go and see Superhuman Radio. You listen to the show, you're going to be very well educated, come out better for it. So when Carl, and I'll quickly tell the story, Carl, it's not the best, most positive story, but you did defend it. So I didn't know what to do. I was trying to figure out a way to break into the sports supplement field to get into bodybuilding. And what I did is I listened to every single podcast related to fitness and bodybuilding. I read every single book. I sent in articles to every magazine for free. And so all day long on my time that I didn't have a job, maybe about, maybe 10 hours a day, other than the maybe 4 or 5 hours that I'd sleep, I would write articles, I would send emails, I would listen to podcasts, and I'd figure out, try to say, how am I going to get in here to make money enough to pay bills? And I would do it all day long. And I did it for about 18 months before finally Carl was the first one to write me back. And I have friends now, Carl, that like Dan Solomon and Bob Ciccarello, and a lot of people that I wrote who just ignored me for years.
Right.
and I emailed Carl, and he ignored me for a while too. But when I criticized,
no, I didn't ignore you. I was, I was on the move, but I emailed you back.
Well,
you were good. You sent me a second email. That's right. You sent me a second email.
I think, Carl, I may have sent you 4 or 5 before I got to this
one.
one.
One of them was something about one of the sponsors. You said that it was bullshit.
Well, that's the one that got your attention. That's the one that got your attention. So Carl has had all these sponsors, and he had one called Can't See Eye Drops, and they can track to me now because we'll crush them. But at that point, I decided, I saw Can't See Eye Drops, and I said, this is bullshit. Carl is a legit dude. Everything he says is totally backed by science. And I thought, he said, I'm using these eye drops and I can see better than ever. I don't need glasses anymore.
I still use them.
Okay. I know they're still a sponsor. So I was like, you know what? This thing I don't believe. So my method to reach out to everybody was to say complimentary things, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be complimentary and they're going to like me. So I decided to hit Carl up with an insult and say, man, I thought more of you. Turns out you're a shill. You're just doing whatever for these guys' money. And that's what got Carl to say, call me on the phone. And that was the opportunity that led to all of this.
Yeah, that's
right.
True. And we ended up, and I thought you had to, I told you, I said, you have a great voice for podcasting. And at that time, Dave Palumbo broke away from Muscular Development, had started RX Muscle. And we said, hey, we want to produce a podcast for your show, for your website.
Well, Carl, if you don't, you may not even remember this because it was a big moment for me, but we started originally working for Dave or putting it on Muscular Development first.
Right.
And then when they broke off from Muscular Development, we went to RX Muscle with Dave.
And it was the most popular podcast in bodybuilding, period, for a year that we did it.
It may, honestly, Carl, it may be the most popular podcast in bodybuilding history because we had, if you remember, so this is, Carl and I did a podcast that was a live TV. Live radio. So people could could comment and we could interact with them live. This is way before right now where everybody's doing it. And we would have thousands of people on commenting, interacting with each other, not even us sometimes, joking about the show. And so to have a few thousand live people listening to our show at one point in time, that was extremely unique at the time.
And we the show was basically Howard Stern meets bodybuilding.
Yes.
It was vulgar. It was different. Nobody was doing what we were doing.
No.
And they even tried to. What's his name from Muscular Development? They tried to copy our format. They couldn't do it.
Never. We interviewed Dominatrix, Ronnie Coleman, Milos Starcev about insulin, where I snored and fell asleep because I was on pain medicine for my wisdom teeth.
Right.
We interviewed a lot of very weird people. We had a gay prostitute who became a friend of the show,
right,
along with many other weird people. And it was the kind of the dark side of the bodybuilding industry. And we interviewed, my girlfriend cheated on me, and then we interviewed her after she cheated on me. We got her on the show, right?
So first we did a show about her cheating on Aaron.
Yeah.
And she was a very little girl. I'm not going to say her name. She was a very little girl. And so I played the music from The Wizard of Oz. We are the Lollipop Guild. Yeah. Because she was little. I was implying that she was a midget. She got mad. And so Aaron said to her, well, you come on the show and you tell your side of the story. And so we had her on the show too, and we interviewed her. It was very good radio. Very
good radio. Very good radio. Okay, Carl, I'm going to bring everybody on the show together. That's enough of the intros. I could say a lot about everybody. So let's get everybody on the show, because I have my first question already ready from before, when we were talking about the founder of CrossFit and his position and what he's tweeted about CrossFit. And what I'd like to ask you guys, because each one of you is a business owner, is a small business owner. Today is a weird day in the world of business, weird day in the world period. And it's very difficult to differentiate politics, social media, opinion, and everything else. So as a small business owner, and it's been difficult for me also, I don't want to put politics in the front, in the foresight of my business, because it's divisive. People are very, very divided. The world and the country is extremely divided. So my question is, obviously what the guy said, what Glassman said about CrossFit is wrong. He shouldn't have tweeted some nonsense about Floyd 19. That was stupid. And now he got the repercussions of saying something random that was stupid. He didn't even have a point. But my question is, in business, at what point do you decide to integrate politics, or is it never an appropriate time to integrate politics? Colin, you're up first, buddy.
So, we got invited to the White House for Made in America Week, and it was an incredible experience. And we actually had a ton of positive, right? But it's a loud 5% that makes it so much worse for everything. So my involvement with politics is I try to stay remainly neutral. What I would say is my avatar is predominantly women, 35, 65 plus, Christian conservative. And so knowing what I stand for, I'm proud to back whatever it is that I believe in. So when we talk about law enforcement, right now, politically, they are being attacked, which I think is absolute bullshit. I think 99.9% are incredible human beings. But just like that happened with me going to the White House back in July of last year, I got a ton of negative feedback, but majority of it was positive feedback. So I got a selfie with Trump, and that was incredible. But here's the thing. This is exactly what I tell everybody, is that I would have went, if Hillary Clinton was there, I would have took a selfie with her. I would have went if Bernie Sanders was there as well. Like, as a business owner, it is a fucking privilege to be able to go on that platform and to get recognized by what would be known as the largest administration in the world. Whether you like him or not, take politics out of it, you're acknowledged as a business owner by the largest administration in the world. That means something. And so, there's a lot of naive people that say, oh, you side with Trump because you got a selfie with him. Doesn't mean I believe with everything that's going on with him. Doesn't mean that I love everything that he's doing. I think he's done an incredible job personally for the economic state, but I do think he's a liability when it comes to how he voices himself, and that is a direct reflection upon us as America. Speaking as a veteran, I think, and I know, we got a Navy SEAL on here, right? I'd love to hear his opinion on this, but my thoughts are, it is like a liability from a national security standpoint that we are talking shit about so many other countries that we've worked on establishing a great relationship and rapport with. I think from an economic standpoint, there's nobody better in this country than him being in place right now. People are scared of it. There's a lot of people with other agendas. But for me and my business, I try to remain, for the most part, remotely neutral. I think there's things that we all can contest that he's done an incredible job with. And there's some things you scratch your head and you're like, well, shit, I wouldn't have said that, but man, he's got some balls. And I respect somebody that voices their opinion, doesn't think twice about it. But that's my perspective on it. I think that there's a lot of naive people that just like to rally behind, and there's not like the overall perception of your company was invited to this and you're the only one selected in the entire state. That's that's something to be proud of, and I am proud of that. And I would have went no matter who was in office. Being a veteran, commander-in-chief invites you somewhere, you show up.
Well, period. You made a good point, Colin. The fact that it doesn't matter if you like who's in office, that the actual commander-in-chief, the office in itself demands respect. And I know that not all the people, servicemen and women out there, may love their past people they served under. And Sean, I don't know, I believe you served under some people maybe you didn't love. Sean is a SEAL Team 6 operator before he became an entrepreneur. Sean, what are your feelings? Do you involve or do you allow politics to enter your business? Do you talk about it at all?
No, not really. For me, the deal with work in the office place, no matter what office it is, whether it's our for-profit business, which is in the aesthetics, anti-aging business, whether it's in the nonprofit for Warrior Health, or the defense business that we have a partnership, or with CBD Fit, it doesn't make sense to bring politics into it, because we got to focus on the mission. What's the mission? The mission is, driving revenue, making sales, and making sure that people have jobs, and making sure that this company grows on a whole. If you allow politics to become divisive in the office place, that just spreads like a virus, and before you know it, you're going to have to cut it out like a cancer, and you're probably going to cut out something that would maybe be productive to your company. So I don't think it's a smart idea, letting it in to create havoc at the end of the day. I agree with what Colin said. Doesn't matter who is in office. The commander-in-chief is the commander-in-chief. You respect the office of the commander-in-chief. Had it been Obama that called me to go to the White House, I'd be there in a second, because I respect the office of the president. Just like I respect the office of the president today, whether it be Trump. And if he wins again, I think it'd be a good thing, because I think on the economic side, like Colin said, it's going to be good for America. There's nobody better suited right now, I think, on the, as far as any candidate that I see, whether it be between, Biden and Trump, I don't think there's anybody better suited than President Trump is right now. So,
Sean, I understand where you're coming from with that. And obviously, one of the things that we always struggle with on our end is like, you don't want to. So if it's 50-50 out there, right, you would never in a million years want to take 50% of your viewers or your consumers and make them feel like they're not part of Redcon One or part of your business for Warrior Health. Because the truth is, we need all the help we can get. And really, we're not politicizing anything. But it is still a tough decision. And as a media person, it's a much different story when you're Carl Lenore, when you're putting out media, and that is your brand. And if people don't like the media you're saying, hell, they may listen to you even more. So, Carl, what do you think, man?
So, inevitably, I have to talk about politics because I talk about food policy. One of the topics on the show is food policy and how the government intervenes and gets in the way of certain medical procedures and or quality of food that we're offered, and how they poison the food. Really, that's a strong word, but it's true. I mean, look, I like Pompeo right now, right? I think he's doing a great job. But when he was running oversight over companies like Monsanto, I had to call him out about stuff. So for me, it's not so much politics as the job that a person is doing at the time, and really what political party they're in is important to me. But with that being said, I don't inject politics, my own personal politics, into the show. I stick with the job and the player and the job that they're doing, and if it's Republican or if it's a Democrat, I call them out on it. Personally, I love Trump. I grew up in New York. I understand his style, his mannerism. I knew who his father was when he was building apartment buildings on Queens Boulevard. I watched Trump from a young man come into New York and get shit done. And that's what he does. He gets shit done, and people don't like that. You know, the Home Rink, it took the mayor of New York City, 4 years to do nothing, and he blew billions of dollars, and Trump went in there, and the job was done like in a couple months and under budget. So that's the kind of guy I want running my country, because the country's a business. You can't spend more than you make. And so I'll vote for him again. I think the guy did a great job. And so if he said something that is insulting once in a while, we've had people in office that are outright crooks and thieves. I'd rather take a guy who says something stupid than a guy who's polished all the time and he's stabbing people in the back. Personally, that's just me.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the next thing that has been on the topic, on the mind of America and the mind of a lot of people lately is the whole movement of defund the police. So I honestly, so it's a weird situation. In one aspect, we have a lot of Black people here. Ray, who runs the video department, his whole video team, many people in the office, and I want to let those people know that we support them. Right? It's very important. I want to support them as much as we can and show our business is supportive of every type of person. Right? And as I said before, I don't think of one type of person as a type of person. I just see everybody the same, and I see their effort and their work and the quality of their work as the same. And well, the work may be different, but the person is the same, the internal person. I really view people in that aspect, right? That's what's important to me, who the person is, the quality of their character, right? That's what's important to me, and I don't think about the rest of it. And this has focused a lot of people on the rest of it. So my question is it a good idea to take away funding and remove the police department from local areas here in South Florida and the rest of the world? Colin, Alabama, you're in Alabama. Would you think it'd be a better idea to have no police in Alabama?
Man, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Oh my God. No, no, I can't imagine. Like, we're going to revert back to like Stone Age and like try to like go backwards in times to make that happen. Like, there's no logic behind it, and absolute chaos would happen. It won't happen, for one. I don't believe that it will.
Well, Colin, we have right.
I know there's some cities that have like tried to pass legislative and they pass city council.
Colin, I have to stop you for 1 second, Colin. We can both agree that there are bad police officers, right?
Sure.
We are. And there are also very, very great police officers who are doing everything for the right reason. And that's where it's hard for me, because I've met and know so many good police officers. They come to our gym. We got 30 of them at the gym, and they're all fantastic and are don't know how to handle the fact that somebody was such a piece of shit in California. I mean, in Washington, Minneapolis. Sorry, Minneapolis. They're such a piece of shit, but they're piece of shit police officers everywhere. But if that's 0.1%, you can't paint every police officer with the same brush, just like you can't paint every white person or X, Y, Z. You can't say they're all this way. There's generalizations you can make about every race and religion. You can say.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, because defunding the police is the tail wagging the dog, because you have some bad people, like anything. There's bad business people, there's good business people, and because there are some. You get someone that gets a position of power. If they're corrupt, they're corrupt. You know what I mean? And they get in that job, and then when I say corrupt, I mean just corrupt in character.
Yeah, bad people.
Right. So, but
some people become police for the worst reasons.
They do, because they want to have the law on their side to do bad stuff. But I think the majority of people I've ever met, no matter what their background is, they become a police officer because they have this sense of right and wrong, and they want to uphold it.
And if you defund or lower I think the biggest thing that people don't consider is defunding. If anything, you should increase funds so they can pay more to get a higher quality police officer.
Yes.
That's the big thing. You're going to give less money to a person that's already getting paid very little, and now you're getting lower quality people because they're going, oh well, I only get paid $30,000 a year, may as well fucking beat people up because that's what I like to do, right? If you pay them 60, you can start getting rid of all the pieces of shit along the way.
Yeah, that's who you're attracting. At the end of the day, like, look, I always wanted to be in law enforcement. Swear to God, like I always wanted to be. That's why I joined as a military police officer at 17 years old. I wasn't eligible to be in law enforcement. I needed to be 21 years old. So I got a kick start so that by the time I could send off resumes, I was old enough and I had experience to put on my resume that would offset me from everyone else. When you think about what police officers, and this is what like generally people, the logic, they don't understand what they have to go through, right? They're not making a lot of money as it is. So to defund them, in addition that they're already paid not enough as it is as a police officer to do the duties that's necessary is illogical. Now you're going to attract people like that is, why not just go and say, hey, anybody that's got, you want minimum wage, come work over here. You're going to attract that same type of thing. Like they're not paid enough as it is. And I guess I'm disgruntled that it would get to this level because there's so many solid people. And just like you said, man, it's profiling an entire demographic, its entire job category based on a select few. And you know, when you see like videos of people, and this is a little frustrating for me when I see videos of people that are, you know, they don't want to give their license to somebody. Maybe that's their right. I don't know. This is my feedback with that. A lot of these videos, these officers have been extremely patient to a disrespectful person that if it was that simple to just hand over your fucking license at the end of the day, like that's all you got to do, comply. Like these law enforcement officers come in and they wear their badge like honor. Like they do that to be a public servant to other people. They want to serve. And there's so many solid people that they're getting a bad reputation on that 1 of 1%. But that's the same thing. That's that racial profiling in essence that's going on in America today. That's saying that if there's a problem, we're outlining everybody as that problem, and that's not the case, right? And it's not fair, and it's actually the exact opposite, that we are profiling law enforcement and putting them into their own category. And you know, with the media and the way social media is today, it's gaining a lot of traction in a negative way. And somebody that wanted to be in law enforcement, seeing the way that things are going right now, it's disheartening to say the least.
So let's go to Carl and Nor next. Carl, what's your opinion on that?
Hopefully I got a better microphone. Sorry about that.
Okay, yeah.
First of all, the fact that we're talking about this makes me really see how strong the mainstream media is, because we're talking about a stupid idea. But like I wish tomorrow every police officer in New York, in Minneapolis, in all these different states and cities that are chanting defund the police, I wish every cop would call in sick for the next 5 days, because you'll see how quickly they'll be pissed off that there's no cops. If you defund the police, first of all, you're right. Pay them more, demand more, increase the caliber of employee. You're spot on, but that's because you're a critical thinker. Politicians aren't critical thinkers. They're riding a wave of emotion from the people that vote for them. But the reality is that if the cops didn't show up, you know who's going to get hurt? The Black Lives That Matter. The Black Lives That Matter in Chicago that are calling the cops all day long to ask for help, and no one will be there. Some social worker is going to be there and say, okay, well, we'll stay on the phone with you while you get shot. I mean, it's a silly premise. We shouldn't even be talking about it, but unfortunately we are. It's silly. We can't defund the police. We have to do what you said. We have to increase the quality of the police officer. You're always going to have bad apples. You got bad apples that are gynecologists. You got bad apples that are candlestick makers. I mean, you can't blame the whole industry because of a couple bad apples. Yeah. And it's a silly discussion. It's a silly.
Carl, I think we can all agree that whether you lean to the left or the right, the generalization of a people is not okay, right? And I think that's one thing that everybody can agree with. I'm Jewish. You know, people use as a generalization about Jewish people, they're cheap, right? But that's not always the case. Yeah, they're cheap Jewish people. It's true. but most Jewish people aren't.
I'm
You
more
can't
cheap
say
than you are.
Yeah, you're way cheaper than me, and I'm Jewish and he's not. So, you can make those generalizations about every type of person. And some of it is true to some degree, right? There are bad cops. There are cops that will beat people up because they want to be bullies, because they wanted to be before. But all the cops that I know personally, like Manny, like a long list, Andy at the gym, at the gym, these guys are doing it as a service. They could be doing other things to make more money, but they're doing this because they feel like that's their calling, right? There are plenty of bad cops, and there's also cheap Jews, and there's also every other kind of thing, generalization you can imagine, because there's always some sliver of a little tiny bit of truth in anything. And so that's just life as we live it. Now, how do we get past it? That's really the question, Sean. What's your opinion?
Well, I'll tell you that a lawless country is not the answer.
Sean knows human nature better than most of us. Sean, are humans, if with no laws, are they going to be better or worse?
No, I think you're going to see it degrade into chaos. I think you would see more of people go into defense mode, and there's over 150 million weapons owners in this country, in this free country that we have with Second Amendment right. And they would be used probably in lawful purposes and legal purposes of self-defense, because when you have lawlessness and you have all the people that illegally own guns coming out and try and impose their will on a law-abiding citizen or community, that's when you'll see real hell on earth start getting unleashed, because we don't play that. And you try coming in my neighborhood, you better bring a freaking army, because you're all going down.
Yeah. I wouldn't suggest they come to your neighborhood, Sean. I would not suggest that at all. So social media, it is now something that has built brands. Social media has built brands like Redcon One, and also, of course, Redline Steel. And social media has played a very big role on how to build a business in the 21st century. How big a deal for all your guys' brand do you believe it is for consumer trust in building belief in brands? Let's go to Sean. Let's do right back to Sean, and we're going to Carl next.
Yeah, social media was something that I never really got into, was never really involved into until about a year and a half ago. And I've got to say, you were probably the biggest driving force behind me opening up into social media, because of the power and the reach that it has. Coming from a life of special operations in the military, you certainly don't want to put all that out. You practice operational security for so many years, on so many levels, whether it be in conversation, on the computer, or just with your family or your friends in the circle that you keep. You're practicing operational security. You don't necessarily want to put everything out on social media for millions of people to see. That being said, it was a conversation with yourself that really opened my eyes. And you said, listen, you gotta open up your Instagram from private to public. Nobody's ever going to see you. Nobody's ever going to really get to know what you're about. And if you want to try and build a brand and business based off of that, people have to be able to approach you. You have to be able to be reached. And so I did notice a huge difference once I did that. And, it keeps growing every day. I take lessons from, successful people, much like everybody that's on this panel right now. And, I try and replicate that, put it to good use, put it to what my mission is and my business is, and see how we can spread that out. In my for-profit business, when I walked into that position, we didn't have any social media presence. And that just kind of blew my mind. So, we started doing that, but my personal Instagram page is interesting to me. There's just some crazy people out there, but you take it in stride and just keep pressing on with the mission. But digital media, pound for pound, that's the best thing out there these days. People try and do print ads. Maybe it works for some people. Not that I've seen. If you don't have digital media today, you might as well pack it up.
So for Sean mentioned that I gave him a strong suggestion because I wanted to see him do well and succeed with his foundation, also his other business, which is the HRT business for profit. And it's a very interesting dynamic. When you're a Navy SEAL, you're told you're a silent warrior. You don't make money off the Trident, and you're basically undercover. And when Sean went anywhere in SEAL Team 6, he would come up with a story. All the guys would come up with a story of if they're cow wrangler or some other nonsense. He'd tell all the chicks when he met them, or the guys when he talked to them. He's like, "Yeah, I'm just a cow wrangler. It's a bunch of cowboys here together, or whatever the story they would come up with as a group." And it's funny because it goes against the grain. But once you're out and you are a public person, you have to, in my opinion, and I've told this to not just Sean, but many, many, many guys who were in his special mission unit or other units. Listen, you're out. You have to take advantage. You have the biggest resume builder in the world. You can't keep it a secret and hope that somebody just sees the value in you. And Sean's been able to, I guess, over time. His first selfie video was very, very awkward, but he's gotten better and better, and he's built quite a following. And I think that the fact that he's done it and been there is very unique, because most people just pretend they've done it and been there, especially in the tactical shooting world and in the world that he lived in. There's a lot of people who pretend but don't actually do. Carl, how about for you?
Well, I mean, short and sweet. I think it depends on the message. If the company is legitimate, the products are legitimate, they have a good story to tell, I think it'd be great. I think that not everybody has good experiences on social media, because not everybody has a good story to tell. There's a lot of questionable products out there too. It's like any other advertising medium, but it's very, very effective. And the reality is that I didn't really leverage it properly early on. And only now I'm leveraging it to build my audience, and it works very well, because I have a lot of content, so I have a lot that I can put out there now.
Yeah, Carl has the huge advantage of having like 2,000, 12, Jesus, 20.
I've done over 2,500 interviews. I've interviewed, 5,500 guests. I've been doing it for 14 years. It'll be 15 years this November.
I told Carl the other day, I'm like, Carl, you could just stop working altogether and just repurpose your content and become more popular than you are now, and not do anything. Just have somebody edit, re-edit, and repost all the different clips you have, because he's done literally, I don't know the number, Carl, but I would imagine somewhere in the realm of 10,000 hours of radio.
Yes.
So we have 10,000, and he's interviewed a lot of famous people way before they were really famous too, which is unique. So he's got all of these things. What does it say? 570 million podcast downloads. So he can use that and repurpose that to create even more success. So yeah, Carl's been there and done that way before anybody else. Colin?
So we recently just hit 1 billion impressions across my platform. And I think one of the biggest thing that offsets me, I have a non-commodity based business. So unlike Redcon, you don't have to come back and buy a steel wall art decor piece every single month. So I have to constantly reinvent it. I think one of the biggest things is humanizing your brand and be forward facing. We constantly do live streams several times a week. I like to show people behind the scenes, like what is happening. And I love to get like focus groups of like, this is what we're working towards. What are your examples of this? What do you want to see? And like listening to your audience and your avatar and implementing exactly what they want. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I want. What matters is what they want. And at the end, I want them to be happy. And so as long as we are constantly doing that, it's a constant balance, and they're ordering over and over and over and over again.
Okay, so go ahead, Eric.
Carl, I'm sending the next question to you, because I've talked to you before. You're a sharp guy. You're a science-based guy. Yeah, obviously everything that's gone on with COVID, there's a lot of information, maybe misinformation out there, conflicting science behind it. Do you think that there's going to be a second wave of the COVID now that everything's kind of reopening, gyms are reopening, businesses, as we roll out these different phases? Kind of what's your thought on there, like a spike in a second wave?
No, absolutely there's going to be a second wave. And there may even be a third wave. If we look back at the Spanish flu, 1918, 1990, 19, we know that there were literally 3 waves. And the second wave was as bad as the first wave. The third wave wasn't that bad. So it was, we have a lot of historic data already to look at. You know, this virus isn't as bad as the Spanish flu. So I think we will see additional waves. This seems to be a very stable virus, so it doesn't look like it's going to mutate into something stronger. If anything, it looks like it's mutating into something weaker, because the more recent cases, we're not seeing the same symptomology that we saw early on. But yeah, I think there is going to be a second wave, but that's not a bad thing, to be honest with you. A lot of people will build immunity to it. Not everybody does. The reality is, what is it? The most recent CDC numbers are 0.046. Like, that's right in the realm of the seasonal flu with a vaccine. Keep that in mind. Like, with the vaccine, if you didn't have the seasonal flu vaccine, that would be higher. So the reality is, yeah, we're going to see a second wave, but maybe a third. But there are things that people can do. So number one, get loaded up on vitamin D. 25 hydroxy levels influence a peptide called LL37. You know what? You and I actually talked about LL37 with the gut.
Yep.
Okay, so high doses of vitamin D, or laying in the sun a lot, get out to the beach club more often.
Look at Carl. Carl used to be a white dude. Now he's like, yeah, he's been in the sun all day, every day since we met.
I'm a sun worshiper. I am, because I know how good it is for you. But the reality is that 25 hydroxy levels have been shown to stop retroviruses from replicating. Retroviruses like HIV, SARS, MERS. Vitamin D actually stops it from replicating. So if you come in contact with it, you don't get sick. And then if you do get it, immediately get zithromycin. Zithromycin is a Z-Pack. Take 1 to 2 Z-Packs. You're done. It's gone. It's gone because of the antiviral effects of the Z-Pack that are very, very misunderstood by most doctors. I've done 2 shows about it. I keep 2 Z-Packs on hand just in case Elisa and I get it. We just take the Z-Pack. That's it. We're done.
So what do you think's of stronger impact, the physical or the mental, emotional side of COVID? Which has more of a negative impact on society?
The way we handle COVID is going to kill more people than the virus. So I talked about this on my show. There's an accepted number. Every 1% that unemployment goes up, it equals 40,000 deaths directly from that unemployment status. So we just went from what, 3.5 to 20? So COVID is going to kill what? How many people did it kill so far? 100,000 people?
110, I'd say.
Okay, so we're going to lose anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 people over the next couple years as a result of the financial devastation that the country is under right now. Nobody wants to talk about that. Listen, these are accepted numbers that everybody knows. No one's going to open their mouth and say, "Holy shit, we just killed 500,000 to 3 million, 750,000 people." Saving, maybe 30,000.
Yeah. So on that note, the financial impact, I'm gonna kick this over to you, Colin. Obviously, digital-based business, kind of a non-commodity based business. How has it impacted you? And one of the things like Aaron and I look at all the time is the market. The market is not really reacting.
Well, it did today, but
finally today after a long period of time, but it really hasn't reacted the way you would expect it to.
No.
So how has it impacted you as a business, and 2, kind of what's your thoughts on the strange behavior of the market?
Yeah, so I've had to pivot my entire business plan. We do a lot. I've spent over $12 million in the last 3 years just on paid ads, and learned a lot throughout the process of everything, but had to pivot everything. And so we started to create a give back collection, and just it's kind of adapted and grown. We're only 4 years old as a business, same as Redcon. I think y'all are just about to hit 4 years old, so we're a little bit older. And we've had the best year to date we've ever had as a business because we've been able to adapt and pivot very fast. And that operated from like creating product and giving it away for free And, you know, going into market shares of like nurses, law enforcement, military, first responders, even mail carriers, looking at so many, like agriculture, right? You go into a grocery store a couple of weeks ago, let's say a month ago, 2 months ago, and it was chaotic. It was crazy. Everywhere in the nation, I was hearing that stuff. And like, it wasn't just here in Alabama, like it was everywhere. And so my eyes were starting to open up of a place of giving. And so that really opened everything from, I always had like a philanthropy and like, I wanted to give. And this, I guess with everything going on with COVID-19, we've been able to pivot our business model, being that we're not a commodity-based business. We don't have a subscription platform right now. We are working on that, but we had to figure out a way to continue to stay alive, stay afloat. You know, we don't have, we're 100% right now direct to consumer. And so it has been challenging, but, you know, with pivoting, we've been able to come out on top. And more than that, like, dude, in the month of April, we covered all of our employees' house payments. And I know I've heard Aaron talk about numerous times, like, look, he's losing money. He talked about it, like, and I commend you 100%. I did the same thing, bro, in April. I didn't want to take a distribution because I said, look, I would rather reinvest that so that my employees have a peace of mind, and I'll pay their mortgage payments. I'll pay their apartment payments. Take that money, and as the grocery stores are going crazy, like either save the money, don't go spend it on stupid shit like beer and liquor and alcohol, but like save the money that you would have spent towards rent and put it in a savings account. You know, obviously I'm not forcing that shit. I'm just kind of playing the father figure, like, hey, this is my recommendation. And then I took it a step further. I said, you know, this was before any state shut down. I said, if the government puts us under mandatory lockdown, if you're hourly, I will 100% ensure that your payment is still made. And so just giving them that peace of mind, I think is critical. And I know that that's exactly what your mission is at Redcon. You've mentioned it several times that, look, even though we're taking a loss right now, that's okay. I'm investing back into my business, back into my employees. They give so much. And I think there's so much of an alignment there that also, like, because it's conveyed and it's authentic with integrity, that it is receptacle, and people want to do even more because of that, even with the expectation that that's not going to come back around.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing from this is obviously, you know, and that's our opinion, is people are the most important, you know, important aspect of this, and we want to make sure that our, you know, again, we'll be okay, but we want to make sure our employees are okay, that they're maintain their health, their mental health, their finances, because, you know, Carl's point, your finances go, obviously the death rate increases due to other reasons. You know, so for us, that was always, you know, our employees are our biggest asset that we have in this brand. So we want to make sure that they were always taken care of first. And so on like the mental health side, Sean, like with COVID, you know, are you seeing, because a lot of what you're dealing with is, you know, with the HRT portion for the Warrior Health Foundation is mental health. Are you seeing kind of positive or negative trend with this going on?
Yeah, I can tell you that, you know, making sure that for two reasons. Let me back that up. You know, first for the profit side, for-profit side, one for the nonprofit side. And I want to say that for the nonprofit side, you know, when all this COVID stuff started hitting, you know, I had verbal commitments for events that we're putting on for $450,000, and within 2 weeks it was all gone. So that immediately put me into a state of, I need to immediately transform in order to stay afloat. Make sure that patients that are under the care of Warrior Health Foundation keep receiving their care in the form of peptides, hormones, vitamins, and we were able to do that. It was nothing. It was nothing. You know, nothing that makes me you know, happy to do. But hey, you had to do what you have to do. You know, I slashed my salary in order to ensure that patients had their care delivered. And we even took a couple people on where, you know, we weren't taking maybe 20, 30 people on a month, but maybe I could take 4 or 5 a month and keep that train going forward to ensure that people still get the help that they need. You know, on the for-profit side, you know, much like everything else, I think we saw a huge dip in the months of March and April on the revenue side for the anti-aging clinic, most notably for the elective procedures for the women that were coming in for whether it be Botox, Restylane, Juvederm, all the aesthetic fillers. Now they can't come in because you know, people are on lockdown. You know, whether you can come in or not, you got a mask or whatever. We did see a dip in the nationwide hormonal replacement therapy that we were providing. I'll put it this way. Today is the 11th of June, and we've already made our revenue for the month of June to date, just this month, is more than the entire month of April that we had for the for-profit aesthetics business and anti-aging. So, you know, it was a hit. We do what we have to do as business owners to ensure that our employees are taken care of, that our patients are taken care of. And, you know, part of that was finding out how to pivot digitally on the marketing side. And, you know, we did that. We invested a little bit of money into how do we accurately deliver our message versus trying to go out to the masses. We actually got it more narrowed, and we're seeing better results due to that. The better quality of leads that people are actually interested in our service. So, yeah, it's been a wild ride, but I only see it getting better.
Yeah. You know, and we're the same way, Sean. So for us, the Red Colin Gym had the best month in history. Red Colin Gym, it's crazy to say, and probably not politically correct to say, but the coronavirus for the gym was like a huge positive because we were doing good. We were becoming profitable. And then we had 2 terrible months. We brought no money in at all. And it was bad. But then when we brought everybody back and we brought the gym back online, a lot of the other bigger corporate gyms didn't. And so people that did day passes and saw how awesome the Red Colin Gym was in the beginning when all other gyms were closed, once we reopened, other gyms didn't. They all came and we signed up 300 or so members, right?
Yeah, we signed up. Yeah, I think about 300.
And it's been a huge, awesome thing. So it's funny how like that. Obviously, this has all been terrible for everybody, and nobody would say they wish that they would have had this going on. But for us, you know, people got a chance to see the Red Colin Gym and find out how fantastic it was.
Yeah, the big part too is I think a lot of people came back because, you know, if that's part of your routine. We had a conversation with an employee today about just routine, and you know, a lot of times keeping yourself kind of on a path in life is the gym becomes like a center point. And you know, a lot of times whether you're dealing with maybe mental health, anything else, the gym can be just a focus point for you. I know it is for me. And you take that away from people, that causes a lot of problems. So for us, yeah, there's the money side of it, but we always say we got Redcon to keep the gym afloat. It was more of giving people that outlet of, hey, listen, that like we built the gym because we wanted people to come together. We wanted people to train. We wanted to be a bigger part of our community. And for us, we got very bullish of like, no, we're going to open this just because people need to get back to the gym. People need to get back to their routine.
100%. And for us, for Redcon, you know, Colin mentioned it, that Redcon was not, in this past period, we weren't thinking about profits. I wasn't thinking about making money for myself or Eric making money. What we were thinking about was keeping people employed. So we have 120 or so employees here at Redcon One at the office. And the number one priority for us and for me was I didn't think about making money. I didn't think about being profitable. I thought about keeping those people employed. So we have such an awesome team. We have such an incredible team. When people think of like, why is Redcon One number one? It's not because of me. It's not because of Eric. It's because of all of everybody. The whole team together is so awesome that you couldn't lose one person. We've developed the team over a period of 4 years and found the right people, the best people for each individual job, and created this almost like a unique situation, a synchronicity that couldn't be repeated. And I wouldn't want to lose anybody no matter what. I'd rather lose money for myself for sure than I would ever want to lose anybody. So it's been really a blessing to be able to keep every single person and not have to spend all my savings to keep people here. We've been able to stay afloat, and that's been a huge blessing in and of itself. So before we go to the live question and answer segment with myself and Eric, let me just make sure that everybody gets their last chance to say where they can find Carl Lenore at Superhuman Radio. Carl, where can they find you?
Superhumanradio.net, superhumanradio.net, and on Facebook, the Superhuman Radio Network Facebook page.
Yes. Colin?
So at Colin Wayne 1 on Instagram, Twitter, and then Colin Wayne on Facebook. But they're all verified. There's a bunch of fake accounts, so just be conscious of that. So, or Redline Steel at Redline Steel on all platforms, and I'll pop up.
Awesome. Sean?
Yeah, on Instagram at Ronan_196. And I just want to make sure before everybody lets him go, say happy birthday to Carl.
Carl, is it your birthday, Carl?
I'm 62 years old tonight.
Oh my God, I had no idea, Carl. I had no idea. So me and Carl were on the radio when you turned 50, as funny as that is.
Yeah.
Did Aaron say happy birthday then?
I might have, you never know.
Yeah, thank you for that, by the way.
For singing happy birthday, you're welcome.
No, don't do that, please. I try to forget that. You know what? COVID took me down. I haven't trained really in about 2 months and a couple weeks, and I feel horrible. I've lost a lot of muscle, and it's hard. Like I've been training for, even when I had surgeries, I tore a tricep or a hamstring. I trained whatever else I could still train, but I've literally been out of the gym for about 2 months now. And I see what it feels like to be 60. I got to get back in the gym and start training again.
Yeah.
Horrible. Like when you were talking about Eric, my mental, I just don't feel good. I just don't like the way I feel.
Yeah, because you go to the gym because that's part of your identity, and that piece of your identity is taken from you.
I'm sure.
Well, for me, it's my medicine. It really is. I'm 62 years old. I got a lot of injuries. And I get up in the morning and I walk like a caveman for the first half hour. When I go to the gym, I don't feel like training, but after I train, I leave the gym and I feel like King Kong. It's a wonderful feeling, and it's the best thing I do for myself every day. So I am going to go to the gym tomorrow morning.
Good. All right, Carl. Thank you so much for having each one of you guys on. Carl, Sean, and Colin. And Carl, all you guys, we're going to have back on in the future. This was our very first panel discussion, and we're going to have a lot more in the future. This was kind of a triggering one, I suppose. It was one that's really on the edge, but we have a lot of subjects we'd love to talk to you guys about in the future that's maybe a little less triggering and maybe more topical in terms of what you guys are doing for your businesses, things that are working, and also general advice. I mean, each one of you guys has a lot to contribute to a conversation, whether it's about business improvement, success, or lessons learned in combat. You got two down here who know about that. So until next time, thank you guys so much for being on.
Thank you all.
And we'll be back very soon. Thank you for giving you Thursday night with us, man.
Happy birthday,
Thank
Carl.
you. Bye, guys. Happy birthday. I didn't even know it was Carl's birthday. Bye, Colin. I didn't even know.
Card.
I need to. Jeez, I didn't buy my present or something. I had no idea. So before we get going and we end the show, we want to do the question and answer segment, and we didn't get a chance to really do it fully last time. And I had a few people reach out and say, "So is the show live or is it taped?" A few people asked that. Even Rob Wilkins was like, "So is the show live or taped?" Like, no.
That just went long.
I'm like, it's taped for sure. It's not taped. Sorry, it's not taped at all. It's not taped at all.
It's the moon landing all over again.
Yeah, it's not taped at all. It's like this is real. It's just that Johnny produces such a good show. It looks taped. There's no taping at all. So if you guys have questions, this is the time. We got about 5 to 10 minutes of your best questions. Time for the question and answer segment. Oh my God. What do we got?
King of the Dorks?
Come on, hit us with one.
Real quick, somebody wants to know what the shirt is you're wearing.
So I don't know what the official name of the shirt is, but it's part of our new summer Miami Beach collection as well. What's the official name of the
Miami
collection? Vice City collection. I'm sorry, I should know any of the goddamn products. But yeah, it's part of the Vice City collection. So there's apparel, there's a full product line. So Tango, Grunt, Big Noise, Double Tap Powder, Total War. I think that's the gamut of all the Vice City products.
Ryan, you can't ask the questions on the live. It looks like you're like doing this. You let them ask the questions. So Johnny needs to pull up the questions from the past. When is the new merchandise coming out? Which merchandise is that?
I think this one referring to this.
Yes.
What is that?
That and basic training. So these were questions we took from earlier when people wrote in.
Well, there's so many of them. I see thousands of them. Pick one of the thousands. You don't write it though, because it looks like it's bullshit then, Ryan. Ryan's just typing in all the questions. You have to go live to the listeners, Ryan. You don't know about that shit. If any way in the future you make more gym and read this. I'm not good. This is not in English really.
Make more gym in other areas like Orlando. Be awesome to work out at Redcon. I mean, Orlando's only 2.5 hours away, so luckily it's not too far. Melanie and Ryan drive down on the weekends. They're two of our tier operators. Actually have memberships for the weekend that come down from Orlando.
It is possible though. I mean,
yeah, we've actually
Miami and Orlando are two that are possible.
Yeah, we've also had requests from Sweden, UK right now.
New Jersey. I got a guy who wants to talk to me about New Jersey, a gym in New Jersey.
So it is possible we might branch the gyms out. It would probably be franchises, not us running it, because if we got another damn business, I'm gonna die.
No, no.
But yeah, it is possible. It's definitely possible. But if you ever do get a chance, take the 2.5 hour drive and come down here.
Yeah, if you love the gym and you want to see it, it's definitely important and it's worth your drive to come down here. And if you want to franchise the gym and you have the funds, this is the big thing. You have to have the funds available, not just to pay for the franchise, but also to make the gym as good or better and similar to the current Redcon gym. So I have a guy that we're supposed to talk to who's a New Jersey guy who wants to bring it to New Jersey, who has the funds and the ability to create a Redcon one like gym in New Jersey. That's a possibility. I would love to have one in New York, New Jersey, but it needs to be as good or better than Redcon.
Yeah, because the gyms are also kind of our Apple stores for the brand as well, for the product. So
has to be.
Yeah, it's got to match.
It can't be some shitty gym you put the Redcon one name on, because then what does Redcon gym mean anyway? It means nothing. So if you want a Redcon one gym and you got the funds, you could probably hit up, who could you hit up? Eduardo at redcon1.com, Eduardo at redcon1.com.
You get a very warm and welcome.
Yes, that could be a good one for you. You can hit him up and say, hey man, I want to start a gym, and then he'll come interview you after that. And if you have the right bank account balance and you really want to do it, you want to make an awesome gym, we can help you along the way. And it will include, this is the best part, it will include very awesome prices on Redcon supplements. And I think that's where we can really win, is because if we give them close to cost prices, it gives them another channel to make good money at the gym. Will you guys get more into the supportive gear, wraps, sleeves, and soft belts?
We have them.
We have all of them. So no, we've got all those.
Yeah,
right, every one of those are on the site right now. When will the full series of basic training come out?
So that's next week, right, Ryan?
Correct.
So what day next week? Oh,
It should be the 24th.
Is that Friday?
no, that would be like a Sunday.
No.
You have a calendar on that fancy phone?
I do.
He's not sure.
So Alpha launched tonight, and
So if you remember, the Alpha team launched, and I actually saw Shu building the kits today in my lab. So that became a packing station today. But yeah, so he's building the kits today for the launch. So
it is actually Wednesday the 24th.
Okay, so
it's not next week,
Wednesday.
it's the following
Wednesday,
week on
interesting.
Wednesday.
All right, cool. So on Wednesday, you'll be able to see on the Redcon One site, we will be releasing the basic training series. Can you name all of them?
So
name all of them quickly.
So beta alanine,
yes,
BCA powder, creatine, CLA, glutamine, liquid carnitine, ZMA,
quickly.
Fish oil, citrulline.
Did
Vitamin
you say
C.
creatine monohydrate?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. There's more.
Carnitine
liquid?
I said liquid carnitine.
Did you say Yohimbian?
ZMA, Yohimbi. I went alphabetically on my price sheet.
All right. Anyway, there's a shitload of them, and they are built to create an awesome formula. So the idea is that you can supercharge your current products. You can create products that don't exist. You can make your own products, and it'll give it a great opportunity for people out there who want these products like just a beta alanine, and they don't want anything else. And every GNC, every single store that you go to has a basic creatine monohydrate unflavored, has many of these products already. Maybe they don't have the BCAAs unflavored, but they have almost everything else, and they're very popular, and they're not made by Redcon One, but now they are. Any plans to replace the med kit with a basic series? No. So we do have a health series coming out called MASH.
Maintain and support health, which is what MASH stands for, just like the old TV show MASH and the MASH unit.
But it's going to be a little ways away. So
yeah, so those are all. It's kind of taking the elements of MedKit and then making them standalone products. So liver support, health, brain support, heart function, kidney function, mental acuity. So we have that line's been fleshed out forever. It's just been kind of slow to get it out the door, to be honest, with everything we got going on. But MedKit, it's not just a vitamin mineral pack. I think that's the one thing that maybe people miss the mark on. I mean, it has fish oil, it has liver support, it has heart support. It was really our first product that we developed with Dallas because he carried around this plastic baggie full of
his whole health solution.
Yeah, so that's really what it was. So it's more than just a multivitamin.
So, see, this gentleman says, when will you start selling your products in South Europe? We already do. At this very moment, you can go to uk.redcon1.com. You can purchase direct from us. There's also many stores and distributors and Amazon, everywhere else that sell in Southern Europe. But if you'd like to get it direct from us, you can go to UK, which is the EU site, not just Redcon UK, eu.redcon1 or uk.redcon1.com, and you can see all the products that we have direct. They will reach you if you're in the EU in a day or two. So pretty good.
Any word on new FUBAR flavors? We actually have 2 in the hopper. We have grape and we have sour gummy bear. It really just comes down to, as that product just gets more popular and there's more demand in the sense of like the retail channels.
Yeah.
As it gets more out in that retail space, you'll see us launch it more.
So for us with FUBAR was going to be, I mean, it's still going to be the big next thing, right? Before Emery RTD comes out, our RTD protein drink, that was our big bet. And unfortunately, COVID happened, all this nonsense, riots, craziness. So before all that, this would have been already at this point a very big deal, and we would have come up with other flavors. But because of everything that happened, we didn't get out there to the places that committed to us and said, yes, we're gonna carry it. So right now it's happening, and after that happens, we'll develop new flavors. We've become accustomed to and kind of the opinion that you don't come up with new flavors until you have some sort of market penetration or saturation. And so you'll see right now we're about to come out with very, very soon a new flavor of the Total War RTD, which has been incredibly popular and is in every gym and is arguably the most popular pre-workout RTD in history. Now we are coming out with new flavors, and we had to take time to make sure we were there to justify having new flavors.
Right, just like Emery Light. We have Fudge Brownie Emery Light and Vanilla Milkshake
yep.
launching, and also Vanilla Milkshake on the regular Emery, because again, there's now a demand for it. So when we plug this in, it's just, people will, like in the stores, will make shelf space for it because there's the built-in demand for it. So there's always the economical side of business that, there's a lot of stuff we could do, but we only have so many dollars to do it with and so much space to put it in. The retailers only have so much space. So
let me talk for 1 second before we get going. It's about timing. Timing in business is everything. Timing is as important or more important as any other factor. So when you are ready to come out with something, doesn't mean you're really ready to come out with it. And we had a person recently say to me, oh, you should have done the energy shot before. You could have started with the energy shot. You'd have been great. Energy FUBAR would have been awesome. Beat 5 Hour Energy. You should just start with that. I'm like, no. So if we would have started with 5 Hour Energy as our main competitor, they're a monster. They're a behemoth. We'd come out with FUBAR and have no momentum, have no demand. We'd go against the behemoth. And I told him, no, that's not the case. In fact, we came out with FUBAR at the exact right time. Because we came out when we have a landslide of support, where we have the ability to spend marketing dollars to push FUBAR, that we have people that are excited about it. We have accounts that want to buy it, that are lined up to carry it, that we have the military, we have Dick's Sporting Goods, we have all these grocery stores, we have C-stores that all want FUBAR. This is the exact right time to come out with it. You can never underestimate timing in business. And so for a lot of people out there, they go, well, I have the best. So it could be like, let's pretend. So as you're looking at it right now, it's the best looking, it's the most efficacious, and it's the most reasonably priced energy shot on the market, bar none. But imagine you don't know us, you don't know Redcon, you don't know FUBAR. It's just that drink right there. As cool as it looks, you're going to go, well, who the hell are these guys and why do I want them? We don't have to overcome that now. When somebody walks up and sees 5 Hour Energy, which I'm sure they're great guys, great business, they're going to look at this and go, well, shit, these guys are way cooler. Everybody knows them, and they have a better product that looks better and it's cheaper. It's an easy win.
Yeah, and just like the Emery RTD, we've been pushing to get this out the door from the beginning of the year, but it's a blessing in disguise, to Aaron's point, from a timing perspective, because with retail locations closed, gyms closed, we would have had a warehouse full of product that would age out, and it could have been a bad financial situation for the brand, where now will launch this product because we do our final pilot. This is kind of asinine that we have to do 2 pilot runs, but a pilot run on Monday, which it'll all go smooth. And then we're 6 weeks out from that date of actually launching it. So, it's one of those things where if it would have happened when we wanted it to happen, we probably would have been up Schitt's Creek.
So let's end the show with this, Eric. That is an important point, right? Things happen the way they're supposed to happen, whether you believe it or you understand it or not, because the world works in a mysterious way, and the universe is a crazy thing that nobody can understand. But that is a great example of that, because we thought, holy shit, we keep getting fucked. Every time we think the release is happening, it's supposed to happen January 1st. So this is fucked up.
I got my dick kicked in every week on that.
Me asking Eric, where the fuck's the fucking RTD? And so like every week we're thinking, why is this not happening? This should be happening. We're stressing. I'm harassing him. He's harassing them. Everything is happening, right? And we say, why is this happening to us? We did everything right. That we're getting screwed by the universe. And then COVID happens, right? And COVID happens. And if we would have got the products on January 1st, which has a half-life of 18 months, we would have had January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, who the fuck knows? And we would have been sitting on this product that nobody wants, that all the gyms are closed, and nobody's picking up new products. All the people like Walmart, the people that committed to this, are not doing a reset till October, November, December, January. Now we're sitting on a product that's short-dated, that's in the millions. And we would have been sitting there being like, uh-oh, we have to blow it out. We don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because that's such a big bet. There's tens of millions of dollars on the line. And instead, we haven't got it yet, which instead of being a disaster and ridiculous and something we didn't know what to do, is now a blessing. So that's how life should be looked at, because ultimately you can always look and be woe is me. You can always say things are not the way that they should be. This is not justified. This is not justice. But at the end of the day, truly it is how you look at things, what the options are on the table, and then how do you decide what's good and bad? And a lot of times something that seems bad can ultimately be good. For my life, many of the worst things in my life have led to the best things in my life. And it's strictly about how you look at what you're dealing with, how you deal with it, and then how you react. Because it's very easy to be sorry for yourself, to feel sad and depressed, put your head in a hole like an ostrich and bury your head and say, screw it, I'm never coming out of here. But the truth is that if you look around and look for opportunity, before you know it, you may be in a much better place than you were before. And that's what's happened to Redcon 1. That's what's happened to me. And if I didn't do that in the past, I wouldn't be here today.
Same with me. The worst things that have happened in my life have actually turned a corner to the best things. And I know we've talked about that before. We've talked about that with a rabbi in the sense of, isn't that part of, Jewish culture where it's like, that, bad things happen for, and again, it may not present itself at a moment of why, but it leads to something good. It's like, I wholeheartedly believe that.
So I don't mind saying about that. So one of the things the rabbi says, so my rabbi who comes to the office every week, which I was always mystified by why he would come quite often. We would say, why is this guy coming, right? Every week he's coming and talking to me, who's kind of like almost a non-believer, right? He's coming and talking to me and telling me about things that are going on and the Torah and all this stuff. I'm like, whatever. I'm humoring him because he's coming all the way to the office. And he said something really meaningful, and it meant something to you too, big time. Because he talked about Kabbalah and what it means in life to not understand where things are going. And I love this about, I don't know what I believe or don't believe, but I can tell you for sure that I do believe, and I love the fact that one of the things he told me is that God, whether you believe in him or not, or the universe or some energy, is that everything happens for a purpose, whether it's understood by you or not. And so what he means by that, what Kabbalah talks about is that, life is like almost like a magical weave, right? Where all these things are weaved together and all these threads you can't understand. Something could be totally ununderstandable to you. So a close friend passes away for no reason. And you go, well, that didn't make any sense. Why would this good friend of mine who's been so good in life die early, right? But that good friend dies early to create a ripple effect that makes you treat another person different, or take a look at your life more closely and hug a loved one. And that loved one that you hug was on the edge of killing himself. I'm giving a very extreme example. But give him a hug and you say, hey, man, I love you. And he was on the edge of killing himself. But instead of killing himself, he lives and has a child that then one day cures a disease and cures millions of people. That's nothing you'll ever be able to understand or be able to connect. But something that he did, even though it was a terrible thing, he passed away, and that was bad to everybody else. He created this ripple effect that created this cause of positivity that helped other people. And I always like to think of that. And I believe in that. And whether I believe what the rabbi says all the time or not, I do believe that the universe is not something you can understand, But ultimately, if you look for the positive things, even though it seems terribly negative to you at the time, it may be causing something, or it will be causing something really positive in the future.
It's what you choose to find in it too.
It's what you choose to believe. Truthfully, it's what you choose to believe, right? You can believe it.
You can, like you said, you can, like when we lost our son, I had a moment of like clarity where I was like, I can either go down the rabbit hole and be the most negative person and let my life slide, or I can say I have a positive in it, and I still have a wife, I still have another son, and there's hope for the future.
And then this is an extreme example, but in that kind of example, because one of the big things that he deals with is people that lose children, or he deals with Holocaust survivors. And they said, what was it? There's no point in this. This is crazy. God forsake us, right? And he says, well, and it's something that needs to come from a person who's ready. He won't say it to somebody who's not ready. He needs to know that they're ready to say, hey, this terrible thing happened, so that you can react this way that will help another person in a different way. You can explain your situation to somebody else in your life that will help them in a positive way. And who knows what they will accomplish or what will come of that. And it's a difficult concept to get. And he says a lot of times something that he doesn't share. But to me, I internalize that. And when something bad happens to me, I think, well, what butterfly effect can come good of that thing? So, and so right now we're in a time in this world, in the country, where things seem to not make sense, right? It seems things could be like, this could be inscrutable to a lot of people, and you can see only the negatives. But the truth of the fact is, I believe what the rabbi says, whether you believe Judaism, Catholicism, or anything else, you can be agnostic. But I think most people can believe that out of negative can come positive. And so I'm hoping personally, I know Eric's hoping personally, and Redcon 1 is certainly hoping that out of all of these bad events we discussed today, that positivity will abound, that will create positivity, and that people will look not just at the negative and things that are going wrong right now, but also at what could come of these negative things. Because change comes often from negative things.
Change doesn't come without some tough conversations, hard work, pain. I mean, but that's
how it is, man. That's how it is. You don't all happy and smile and feel great, and then something dramatic happens. It's not how.
It's not a movie from the 80s.
No, it's not what it really is. As much as I would love it to be Karate Kid or some
John Hughes film.
Yeah, it's not. That's not the way life is. So thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. We appreciate it. We love having you guys here. Hopefully, you will tell everyone about the Readiness Report. You can explain to them this is not a Redcon 1 production, although it is. It is a production of the times, and that we hope that people will come listen to the show and watch the show. You can watch the show obviously on YouTube Live, Facebook Live. You can watch after the fact on YouTube, and then you can listen on Spotify, Stitcher, and of course iTunes. It is not something you have to watch, although we'd love for you to tune in and watch. But more importantly, we would love for you to tell your friends and get the word out, because the show is different. It is unique, and it is not about fitness. It's about the world. Giving the opinions of people like Jordan Zimmerman, self-made billionaire, and all these guys tonight, SEAL Team 6, Sean Rosario, Colin Wayne, entrepreneur, business owner, combat veteran, and Carl Lenore, my good friend who runs his very, very popular podcast, Superhuman Radio. So next week we have we have another really exciting series of guests. We'll also have the owners and leaders of the Murph, Sam and Mikey Sowers, who's also a Navy SEAL for, I think, 20 years. They're going to come on. They're the owner of Forge Clothing. They'll be on next week, along with some other cool guests. So make sure to tune in, tell your friends. We'll be back next week.